For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in on your podcast app or wherever the hell you're hearing this. The bottom line is you're listening, and that's what matters, everybody. And people have been listening to these protests that are now, what are we on now? Week 17, week 18 of nightly protests. And again, I'm certainly not making light of the George Floyd story, but I have some thoughts on protests and protesting. And I was very critical about the looters and rioters on social media a couple of weeks ago. And my company is called Speak Free Media. So I'm all about speaking your mind and, standing up for what you believe in and what you think is right or wrong. I guess I just sort of wonder how long a protest needs to go on and on and on and on. And what I mean by, actually, you know what, I'll tell you about that coming up in the next segment, all right? So again, I'm not raining on your parade. Absolutely protest. But I guess the question is, when is enough enough? When is it just because it stops being fun? Is it because you have to go back to work? Like I'll explain it in full detail. Don't use this as like a soundbite and go, oh, he's racist and hates. That's not what I'm saying at all. Again, I like to put things out there. I like to put ideas out there, get you thinking maybe in a different way, or elaborate on another idea. So that's coming up. And then also, this is what I love to. Well, I don't really love it. We've got the celebrity phone on our show, and what that means, if you've never heard it before, is a celebrity guest calls in and surprises me on the air, and I don't know who it is. I never know who it is. Now, here's what I do know about the segment. It's pretty much always somebody who I know, meaning I've heard of them, or I've seen a show they're in, or I've listened to their music, or something like that. Because that would just be very awkward and cruel if it's somebody who I've never heard of and they're like, hey, it's Joe Schmo, and I have no idea who that is, right? So it's generally a safe bet. It's something that I don't need a bunch of research and note cards, because I know what this person is in or what this person is doing, and I can just sort of run with it. So, or it's just being a good broadcaster. See, now that I've said this, they're gonna start to bring people who I've never heard of, just to challenge my professionalism and my knack. That's the word, my knack for doing this interviewing thing on the radio. Oh, not on the well, this is a podcast. On the radio, I've been doing it for a very long time. So that's what we've got. We've got my rant about protests, and then the celebrity phone, and it all starts right after this here on The Scribble.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. In recent weeks, recent years, but most recently with the George Floyd case, the whole idea of demonstrations and protests and then the subsequent looting and violence and arson and all that other stuff has sort of come to light. And it's actually led to a discussion here in Canada, of course, about the relevance of protests. Are they really effective? Back in the day, right back in the 60s, 70s, where you didn't have social media, I mean, right now you protest with a hashtag thanks to social media. And a lot of times that's enough to get your point across and get what you want done. And so now let me just point this out. I'm not saying don't have an opinion and don't stand up for what you believe in. Not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, what is the relevance of flooding to the streets nowadays? Where does it get you? What is the purpose of it? Yes, you can hang out on the stairs of a government building chanting with your signs, but what's going to come of that, right? Aside from violence and hooliganism, as we've seen in recent weeks, months, and years. And so now, and again, me, who's not Mr. Social Media by any means, but I'm almost wondering, though, if that's maybe the better way to get your point across. You can stay at home, you can stay safe, nobody gets hurt, no property is damaged. What exactly are you getting out of having a mob of people? And that's often what it turns into. I'm not saying that every demonstration is like that. Certainly there are some very, very peaceful protests in my country and in the United States. I guess I wonder if nowadays you've got so many other platforms to have your voice heard, right? Social media campaigns and what have you, that is maybe that the way to go. Is that like, because really, again, what are you getting out of it? What is going to happen? You can show up in numbers, that's fine. Your elected officials already know how you feel because you've probably lashed out on social media at them or to them or with them. So they already know what your message is. They know what you stand for. They know what you believe in. Is the protest and thousands of people necessary? Just my question, I'm putting it out there. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Now, the reason I bring that up is because just the other day, one of my relatives on social media shared a post, and I'm going to read it to you because I personally feel that it's ridiculous, and I'm going to make a point here because there's some interesting facts here. So the post says, "I would like everybody to please read this of what this man did to my mother at Walmart today and share it. Mom needed to go shopping. We went into Walmart, and as usual, the store was very busy. With no shopping carts, there was a lady checking out, so she noticed my mom looking for a cart and asked her if she wanted her cart. My mom said yes. I was standing by the doors waiting for her to get the shopping cart. This man walks up to my mother, puts his basket in her cart, and said, 'I've been waiting longer than you,' and pulls the cart from her. My mom was in shock. And so he takes the shopping cart and walks by me, and I said, 'Unbelievable.' Was in shock. Finally, we were able to get another cart, and I was steaming mad. I told Mom I'm going to take his picture and post this on Facebook. I walked right up to him, held up my phone, and took his picture and walked away. He walked up to me and said, 'If you post that on Facebook, I'm going to sue your ass.' Obviously, he hasn't looked at my bank account lately. Anyways, I told him that's exactly what I'm going to do at this time. We're screaming and everybody is staring at us. When he says to me, F you, so of course I'm so pissed off, I turned around and told him the same thing. Then he walked away. He turns around and points his camera at me and takes my picture as I'm waving at him. Everybody please share this. Will be the day that somebody comes around and disrespects my mom. She is 85 years old. And I will not put up with that. Nobody should treat the elderly like that. My mother is 85 years old." And then this woman goes on to list the location of the store. Now, petty and trivial, sure. But here's the deal. 92,000 comments, 315,000 shares. 315,000 shares and 92 comments of this. And again, I've always said, if you're going to take a stand and want your message to be taken seriously, proofread and check your grammar and spelling. But this rant, 315,000 shares and a blurry picture of the man who, again, we haven't heard his side. I haven't read every single comment. Again, 92,000 comments. I haven't read them all. As I said, my relative went and shared this on Facebook a couple of days ago. Well, get this. This original post was March 31st, 2018. So what my point is that this lives on, and again, it's a blurry picture of an old man who actually, quite honestly, I looked first and I thought it was my dad. But 2 years ago, this is still cycling on social media. So the fact that this popped up on somebody's page or whatever it is because somebody just recently shared it, I don't know exactly how Facebook works. So here's the deal, is that this one woman posted this well over 2 years ago. And people are now just seeing it and now getting enraged and now, now the good thing is that she doesn't name the guy. She doesn't have the name. And again, maybe this person has been recognized and pointed out in some of the comments. I don't have time to sit and read through 92,000 comments. Nevertheless, so this ties into that whole protest thing that I was just talking about, because here's somebody who just with one post, and actually can I go to this person's page and just see how many like friends or whatever they have? Does it show me that? I don't know. I'm not familiar with Facebook, but anyway, nevertheless, so here's the power that this one person has, and potentially could ruin this guy's life, could have threats against him or whatever it is. Like, so anyway, that's my point. So did you really need to go out to the streets to do this? Sure, have your say, have your opinion, stand up for what you believe in. Again, I've never taken that away from you. I've never said don't do it. But it's also in the way that you do it. Civil protest? Okay. Going and sitting in an elected official's office and refusing to move? Okay, fine. Maybe, I guess. But I don't know. I wonder often what you're hoping to accomplish, and if maybe a letter or a phone call to your elected officials is good enough. Send a letter, start a petition, do something. Again, as we saw the destruction with days and days and days of looting, rioting, fires, and everything, where does that get you? And I said that on the podcast, 2 weeks ago, right, when this all started. I said, it's just going to cost everybody more. You're destroying public property, so it's going to cost the taxpayers more. You're going to destroy these small businesses, and insurance rates are going to go up, and now that the store's been looted, they're going to have to, raise the prices. Again, the argument could be made that these people were coming from out of town. I've never heard of people doing a road trip just to go rioting and looting, but I guess it happens. Well, who am I to say, right? I'm Canadian. We don't do that where I'm from, but so those are just my thoughts. Again, I'm not taking a political stand. I'm not defending any side here or there, but just something. I like to give you the food for thought. I put it out there, let you make up your own decision.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
The celebrity phone is once again lighting up, and everybody knows this is my favorite segment of the show. Not really, because I never know who's calling in. So let's go to the celebrity phone. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello, Jeremy. How you doing, man?
Hi. Hi, who's this?
Hello. I can tell you, or it's supposed to be like a big mystery or something crazy?
No? Can you give me a clue?
Well, I was in, my name is Agador, but sometimes also Spartacus. Or you can just say Agador Spartacus. Wow.
It's my teen crush. Oh, geez, this is embarrassing. It's Hank Azaria, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Jeremy. I hate to disappoint you. Actually, Hank Azaria.
Wow, what a surprise. Thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm doing all right,
Yeah, this is
by during this insane time.
Yeah, it's a strange time. So, in case anybody doesn't know, he was doing the character from The Birdcage, which was one of my favorites when I was growing up. But now everybody knows you from Brockmire, right? The show just wrapped on IFC, and season 4, and it's on Hulu, right? Everybody's watching on Hulu.
Yeah, well, how about everybody? We're a cult hit, which is code for we're a great show that nobody watches. So let's rectify that. If nothing else to do, you can't spend all day with your family. You have to binge watch something.
Well,
one of the few silver linings for me is maybe more folks will check out Brockmire. Yes, on Hulu, seasons 1, 2, 3. We've actually been trending on Hulu the last couple of weeks. So I'll offer your audience the Brockmire Challenge, I now call it, Jeremy. That's
Okay.
the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the first season. If you don't laugh out loud, you can stop. But I can almost guarantee that you will.
absolutely, yeah. And
Yes, seasons 1 through 3, yes.
okay, so for those who aren't familiar, let's tell people about the show. I mean, you play Jim Brockmire, who is probably out of work now thanks to baseball being put on hold, right?
Yes, Jim Brockmire is a man who has this kind of, I call it this 1970s baseball announcer voice, the generic baseball announcer voice of the 1970s. And it's a nervous breakdown on the air, calling Kansas City game. Now it's about 13 years ago. Loses his mind in a blackout drunk, describes in detail what he walked in on his wife, watching her have sex with a bunch of people in this living room. He describes it all on air while giving an account, never missing a beat in the baseball game. So I saw my wife, she was wearing I don't know how dirty I can be on your show.
Go for it. Just go for
Let's
it.
just say he describes distinct sex acts in what part of the body they're happening, and then says, as Pedro delivers a slider into the dirt, one of those. And gets thrown out of baseball, and then we start the series with him trying to return to baseball some years later after doing things like calling cockfights in the Philippines and Lithuanian wife-carrying competitions, which is a natural thing that we didn't make up. And then hooks up with Amanda Keith, who's the owner of a minor league baseball team in a fracking town in Pennsylvania. And the series starts there with the guy trying to get back into baseball. We tracked that over 4 years.
I got to tell you, if I had a nickel for every time you just described every one of those things, I'd be rich, right? You know, it all happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much the tropes. It's that old, what they call that old chestnut
All right.
of baseball announcer loses his mind, meets girl, loses girl. But mostly it's an excuse to be really funny and have a very raunchy sex comedy. It then becomes about a lot of things as the series goes on.
See, now you've got everybody hooked on that first 5 minutes. Now they're just wanting to check it out. But you were also...
Yeah, I mean, it's really, the bottom line is it's very funny. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and then you were executive producer. What made you jump into the driver's seat, though, for the show?
Well, this is an idea that I've had for years upon years. A voice I've been doing since I was like 15. It's a character I've been trying to develop for probably 20 or 30 years. Finally hit on the idea. Did it as a short, a Funny or Die about. Then that got popular, so we turned it into a movie, which we almost shot. Lost our financing 4 days before shooting, but Funny or Die stayed with us. We turned it into a TV show, which is a blessing in disguise because it lived much better as a cable series than anything else.
And that's the great thing about streaming services, as we've said, it's on Hulu, so it can live on, and I think it can catch new audiences then if people missed it on the first run.
Which almost everybody did, sadly. We got kind of caught in, it was that weird moment in television where cable stations were sort of to lose their steam, and people were much more streaming. IFC went from Netflix to Hulu, so we're still trying to get people to really take in the show to IFC so they wouldn't release it on Hulu till late, but all that is sorted out now. It's all on Hulu right now, so check it out.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about The Birdcage for just a minute, because as I said, that was one of my favorite movies, and you worked with the fabulous Robin Williams, and we've heard all about the stories of how he would ad-lib and just get really funny, and they'd let him roll with it. What are your memories of shooting with Robin?
Ironically, Robin was not allowed to do much of that at all in The Birdcage.
Wow.
Because Mike Nichols, the great Mike Nichols who directed it, and Elaine May who wrote it, they really wanted to keep it a tight farce and not be sort of all over the place. We rehearsed it like a play for about 3 weeks, which is very rare for a movie. And what Mike said was, we're going to take down all the ad-libs and all the improvising that is funny, and we're going to incorporate that in the script. And then on the day we shoot, we're not going to do any of that, because I want it to be, moving forward at a fast pace, which drove poor Robin almost insane. He was just dying to, go off in certain takes. And he would, beg Mike. He called him, boss, please, wild take, one wild take. We called him wild takes when Robin would get to play around more.
Yeah.
So, and he would, usually get one a scene. But mostly we just kind of stuck to the script, really.
Do you have one favorite memory from shooting?
There were so many to choose from. It really was just hanging out at the monitor. I would finish work and then still be shooting. And I would, instead of leaving, I would just park myself in between Mike Nichols and Elaine May and just get stories from them. And, about, back in the day and what it was like performing and what their careers had been like. And then Mike was so joyous shooting that thing. He would laugh so much during takes that we'd have to, move him away, farther and farther away from the set so it wouldn't ruin, takes from laughing. And at one point, we also threw a blanket over him so that when he was laughing, we could hear him. I think that's my fondest memory.
Wow. That's, a true legend. And I think that a lot of actors, we hear that it's almost a dream to work with somebody like that because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, he was a lot of things to a lot of people. He loved actors, he loved everybody creative, and he made everybody feel like they were his favorite. When we went to his memorial in New York, which had a huge turnout a few years ago, there's all these amazing writers and actors and directors and producers there, and we all compared notes, and every one of us felt like we were Mike's favorite, And Mike, and not in a shallow way, it's just Mike really loved everyone so much. He loved talent and he loved people, and he was, one of the few people in show business who was very giving, really liked to pay attention and listen and get what you were all about. He was, I miss him.
A true legend, yeah. And now, in our final remaining moments, let's shift to The Simpsons, because remind everybody that you play almost every character, right? Sometimes I hear a little Agador in there too.
Yeah, Julio on The Simpsons is really based. It's Agador's voice essentially applied to a Simpsons character, and I do 20, 30 running characters. There's, Dan Castellaneta and Harry Shearer do many as well. And Tress McNeil and Nancy Cartwright, who plays Bart, she does a bunch of the kids. She's a lot of different voices as well. We all, there's only 6 of us doing all those voices all those years, with some exception. So we all do a lot.
Yeah, well, and Al Jean is on our show every once in a while talking about the upcoming season, and so how is it looking ahead? Because I know TV production is shut down, but you guys often do episodes well in advance, right?
Well, yeah, and we're okay because we're animated, so it's not like anybody has to go on a set. And social distancing is easy to do in animation.
Mm-hmm.
They sent a lot of equipment to my house, so now I record right out of my house. I don't even go down to a sound studio anymore. So I think we can keep that up indefinitely. So, yeah, we're not really... I'm sure logistically it's been a pain for them, having to be in... Everybody can't go down to the same studio, but it works in this modern world. It works remotely just fine.
Well, let's peer behind the curtain and give people some insight. So do you guys all actually get in the room and voice it, in real time, or is it done separately? How does it usually work?
For the most part, it's done together, although I moved to New York 6 years ago, and very often we're recording separately from each other. I almost always am. Harry almost always is. He doesn't live. He splits his time between New Orleans and England. So we're remote. Most animation is done separately. People are usually not together. But The Simpsons has always done it together. But I usually do it separately. And then they animate, and then you do, you re-record a lot based on, what they liked or didn't like. And the process, it used to take over a year to get any single show on the air. Now they could do it in as quickly as 2 or 3 months. But it usually is about a year between the time we record and when the show airs.
Right. And quickly, though, I know you've been keeping busy during lockdown because you took part in a big fundraiser not too long ago. Tell everybody about Poker Stars.
Yeah, Poker Stars, we had about 60 American celebrities and another 30 European, soccer players and musicians and some actors, all played in this giant poker tournament. And Poker Stars put up $1 million, and $500,000 of it all went straight to COVID relief, and the other half was divided among the charities that celebrities were playing for. So it was a really fun model. Like you could, like the winner, David Costabile, who's on Billions and was on was Gale on Breaking Bad. Well, I went to Tough Swift, by the way. He won. He won $100,000 for his local New York charity, and it's a really good model. You know, it's where it has people play and be really motivated to win and have fun, and then but the lion's share of the money goes to the cause you're trying to help, which in this case had to be frontline COVID relief. I mean, and we'll probably do it again because a lot more money is needed.
Absolutely, and that's the thing with the entertainment world essentially shut down a couple of months ago. It's great to see all the stars coming together and lending their voice and raising big bucks because it's definitely needed.
Not to mention poker stars. They've been in this world they've been a lot of people have been playing online poker. You can't really do it in America too much, only in a couple of states, but worldwide you can. They really wanted to give back and not ask anybody to give but themselves. So they basically just took $1 million and set it aside for this and gave people a way to have fun for an afternoon as well.
Yeah. Hank, are you asking to become a Canadian? Because I might be able to pull some strings.
It's very tempted these days as an American it looks more. You look north with more and more envy and longing. Let's put it that way. So I've worked so much in Canada. I probably could have dual citizenship at this point. My tax returns in some years were more Canadian than anything else.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. My teenage crush, Hank Azaria. Thanks so much for joining us today. Great to chat with you.
My pleasure.
We'll be watching Brockmire streaming on Hulu.
Thanks a lot.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. I just realized, after talking with Hank Azaria, I had said to him to list off the characters that he voices on The Simpsons, and he never actually did that. We started talking about the voice that he does, the gay voice that he does, and so we never did get the list of them. But tell me if you know the character. I know the characters that he voices. Obviously, I pointed that out. But send me an email. Name as many without Googling, although I know you will. Email me live@jbonair.com. Now, speaking of the gay voice, it is Pride Month, and something has come up recently that when you have a platform, and again, you could use the term celebrity, influencer, whatever it is, I really don't care. You get bombarded from all sides of people wanting you to endorse something or to share a message, spread some news, whatever it is. And many people are happy to do that. And for me, it's just, there's just so many things all the time. And so I don't go on and on about, happy Pride and Pride and Pride. Obviously, I'm a gay guy who's married to a hot Brazilian model. And but I don't wave the flag. And people call me out for that. And I kind of go and say, like, I don't really take political stands on things. Like I said earlier in the show, I kind of just put ideas out there. I don't really, publicly back causes or anything like that. And so people ask about well, you don't support the Pride, the gay community. It's like, well, yeah, I'm homophobic towards myself. You got me. And so I just don't do things like that. I didn't post a black square on Instagram the other day. So, by default, again, I guess that makes me racist. Like, that's just sort of the world that we live in, and I don't like it. And that's also why I just don't participate. So, absolutely. I'm all about the Pride Festival, because you also have to realize too that we have a clothing line that I launched last year that we were in Winnipeg Pride, Calgary Pride, San Francisco, Phoenix, and Palm Springs. So I was at 5 Prides last year, celebrating and supporting the local LGBTQXMFR groups. So absolutely. But again, it's dangerous when we go and say, because I didn't have a pink ribbon, I'm anti-woman for Breast Cancer Month, or I don't have a pride flag, so I'm anti-gay. That's not a safe assumption to make, and it's also just not fair to do to people. So, let's be open-minded and be nice to people. Let's not assume that they are this way because of that if you haven't asked them or they haven't explicitly said that. Okay? Thank you so much. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Bye for now.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.